Here we are. The first time we've ever been quiet when we start a podcast. We're usually somebody's always talking, and it's kind of our trademark here at the Great Northern Sex Cast. Is that
I did have my IKEA rant, but nobody needs to
Yeah,
know
I
about
know.
that.
And see, I tell you,
Everybody's got an IKEA rant for Pete's sake.
everybody should have. No, I have Costco rants. I have a pretty easy time with IKEA. It's Costco that makes me absolutely stark raving insane.
Yeah.
Everybody just drops their freaking brains for and have you ever noticed what lengths little old ladies will go to get a bite of pizza?
I haven't been there in a long time, but one of the reasons is like one, it's just it's me and my daughter, so I don't need like a gallon of whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I'm not buying in bulk today. I don't go through it. I can't buy in bulk.
Yeah.
No, you just like to
folks,
play with bulk.
Yeah. But it is, just a fun place. But yeah, you just have to know when to shop at the very large stores.
Yes.
I just, it's everybody's like prey drive takes over or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre. And it's like, it's not like there's not enough in here. Seriously, we're not looking at a shortage of anything.
That's right.
No, they got plenty.
Yeah. Guys, I think one of the biggest Great Northern Sex Cast headlines, Michael Radke and Colleen Bertino, that we might have today is that nothing of any naked import happened in Florida in the past week.
That sucks.
Well, nothing that we know about. Maybe they're deciding to like store it up and sell it, because really, when you think about it, Florida could probably solve their budget crisis if we had to pay to report on the stupidity in Florida.
Oh my God. You
Now,
can't.
mind you, I love the Florida. I'm going to Florida in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
I'm going to
right.
watch. So I have my twin shirt on because
Uh-huh.
Pitchers and Catchers reported yesterday. Woo, twins! I like baseball. And so it's not like I dislike the place, but really the amount of stupid naked stuff down there is fascinating.
It's unrivaled by any other in the continental or otherwise U.S. It's absolutely insane. But I thought I'd have to kind of go ahead and bring that up. And it's weird. We have a lot more. I don't want to say straight talk today, but more grown-up sexual health-related topics than we normally do, like some big boy and girl stuff.
I know.
Not quite so smutty.
It's not all about naked people.
I know. I know.
Doing dumb things. It's usually about naked people, I should say. Yeah.
Well, and I do have some pretty good ones in
okay.
here, but yeah. So I mean, let's go ahead and kick it off. Colleen, you know a couple people that are dealing with breast cancer right now.
In the past, currently, stuff going on. So it's the amount of things that I know about boobs just increases more so than I knew before. And so, of course, when anything pops up anywhere about breast cancer and research and stuff like that, I'm reading it voraciously now and passing it along. And one of the things is a lot of women go through because a lot of breast cancer is estrogen fed. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not through menopause, or if they're not sure if you're through menopause or anything like that, they will put you on a crap ton of drugs to just totally remove estrogen from your body. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of, you do need some estrogen. And a lot of these have side effects and all this sort of stuff. And one of them is the fact that you just do not make a lot of lubrication. There can be really painful sex during this time. I mean, once you're healed, you're doing all this, you're back, to having energy, to feeling like a sexual being, and then your body's not cooperating with your brain.
Right.
And so, and a lot of times when this happens to people who don't have breast cancer, they will, they'll give you estrogen, for it. And, people have to, there are side effects, and you do have to, take a look at your history and all these sort of things and talk to your doctor, blah. But they've discovered that using a vaginal estrogen does not have the side effects that taking an oral estrogen would. That can help with, you can use a ring or a suppository or something like that to help you, become lubricated, to help with sex, because they're actually, it's just fascinating that they're actually saying that, wow, a woman might actually want to have sex.
Yeah. So
this is like the subtext to this article that they're actually talking about a woman wanting to have a healthy sex life. I mean, and it was fascinating. Now, mind you, there's a very important line that said that women who have estrogen-dependent breast cancer should turn to vaginal estrogen only if non-hormonal options like lubricant don't work. Okay. Which is why we've, focused on talking about lubricant a lot, water-based silicone and all that sort of stuff. But the fact that there's a piece of information here that people can bring up to the doctors, they can talk to and see what's going through there, because they're going to, I mean, this was done because women said, I'm not enjoying sex.
Mm-hmm.
And someone took it seriously.
Yeah, there's a commercial.
And I mean, like I said, I was just fascinated by that subtext in the article.
Yeah, there's a commercial I just saw over the weekend, and I can't remember the name that the featured woman says, but she says, "Hi, I'm whatever, and I'm going to talk about something uncomfortable." And it was this, you know, the discomfort, you know, for the aging thing. And I thought it was really well done, and it got me thinking about how many things that we're seeing ads for to help now that we're thinking, okay, like for example, did you know what COPD was a few years ago? And now there's like 10 different commercials for things for COPDs, and yet things that we used to hear about all the time, like HIV, and we've got stories on that today, we don't hear about. And it's just weird. It's like, okay, how much of this is big business drug driven? And then how much of it is really responding to what's actually going on? Do you ever wonder stuff like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things is, I'm thinking, when I did read this, I went, did someone come up with a new vaginal, estrogen insert? But, sometimes it's not how the information gets there. It's, as long as it's out there and someone uses it, intelligently, if it starts a conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's, the biggest part about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in other medical related news, I found this fascinating. There's a ring that's insertable that women can use that releases on a slow basis HIV fighting drugs, and it can cut the risk of a woman getting infected by 1/2, which is amazing. And the focus of this particular story that I found is talking about Africa. I mean, talk about a country that's riddled with this for so many reasons that are cultural, and other things. And it was interesting because it's the 25 and older crowd that actually uses it. They had a 61% decrease in infection, whereas the younger ones they were inconsistent with using it, and so they only cut their infection rates by 27. But they were saying 27% is still a massive victory in a country where some communities have 80% of their adults infected. That's like amazing, isn't it? Though
that is amazing.
Yeah, I read a little bit more too, and I like the fact that there's a study out there and they're doing this.
Yeah,
and what I thought was fascinating, it's not on the market yet. They're still studying it. And they think that the results could improve because they have found that when you put something out in the real world and people are using it, see, if you think you might have a placebo, you may not use it as consistently. But if you know it's something that you're going to use, so they see that possibly that these rates could even improve with more consistent use.
Interesting.
Because you need, I mean, and like I said, it's not 100%. But every bit helps. I mean, you can't throw out the perfectly good for the perfect. So good. For the perfect. I know there's a.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I actually picked up on that. I know what you mean.
I know. Yeah.
I speak Colleen.
Yeah, butchering the language is in my genetic history, so you guys are all just gonna have to deal with it.
No, I mean, and there's so many cultural things there too that has allowed the virus to proliferate over there. That this gives women more control than they have in the rest of their lives. So it's one thing that they can do, which I thought was pretty cool. So you guys, birth control, okay? So like that's not an issue for a lot of us in the room right now. But I thought it was really fascinating that the headline was that American women are spurning the most effective methods of birth control. And what they're talking about is like IUDs and whatever. And the pill is still far and away the most popular one out there. But it was pretty interesting. I mean, they're trying to educate the public about IUDs and saying, because they're reversible, easily reversible, within a certain period of time, that people really should be looking at more of that. I mean,
they're panicked over the incorrect one from years ago. I think 20 years ago. They don't realize that they have that it is the Dacon Shield. Lawsuits and perforations and stuff like that. That was a bad design. Life isn't perfect, and they've made them better. And these things are spectacular. You can get them with or without hormones. As you're going through there, they last 3 to 5 years. You don't have to, mind you, you still need to use condoms. You still need to worry about, sexually transmitted diseases. But to have a non-hormonal birth control along with a condom, you're pretty much guaranteed no babies.
Yeah. Well, and I've had, I'm in year 11 of mine, and I do have the testosterone infused one. Greatest thing since sliced bread. I am not even kidding you. It changed my life. I'm serious because I had suffered, I should say, from PMDD, and that's the homicidal PMS. Like, seriously, I like you, and now I want to kill you with my bare hands. Like, no joke. I mean, so miserable. And I got that, and it changed my entire. I seriously, you guys. And so I'm on my third one. Although the only thing I will say is, if you are childless, as I am, you cannot get this done without having the drugs that they give to induce labor. Because if the little cervix has never had anything going through there before, it's cranky. And it feels like you're being split in half. Yeah. I'm just saying. So you got to make sure you ask for that on the front end. But I think it's the most awesome thing. So I just wanted to point out, yes, I am an 11-year, vet of this. And I think it's the most amazing thing ever.
Exciting.
Yeah.
No.
Michael's like,
yeah, just like, okay.
No.
Michael's crossing his legs over there. I could tell.
No, they are. It is. A lot of times people are put off a little bit by the upfront cost too and the office visit. But if you're talking about one visit in 5 years versus having to having a copay every month for birth control, having to know what's going, now mind you, there's plenty of reason for birth control pills for lesser periods and acne and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not,
Oh, the IUD will take care of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah. If you've got the if you put the hormone stuff in there.
Yeah.
But it's very tough to get past people's mindsets sometimes.
I suppose
actual facts sometimes get in the way.
Yeah, and it's a weird deal, but I think cost wise, I factored it out a couple when I first did it. I'm like, oh my god, it actually was cheaper, and I was super excited. Okay, I should not be laughing at this, but I am. Okay, this is out of Philadelphia. There is a lawsuit involving more than 100 women who blame their pregnancies on errant birth control packaging. Long story short, anybody who knows what these are is, the pills go around in a circle generally, and the last 7 are placebos. Mm-hmm. So you're on and off. They put them in backwards. And they mixed them up and dorked up the coverage, if you will, of the hormone shield that keeps you from getting ovulating and getting pregnant or whatever, however those bloody things work. So there was a recall of more than 500,000 packages of these. And it's a big blanket pharmaceutical company called Endo, and it involves several brands that we've all heard of. But 117 women, all but 4 of them were pregnant. 94 of them went on to have the children. So they're suing for everything from damages, cost of the birth, to the cost of the raising of the children, and all this kind of stuff. And depending on what state, this is going to be a really tough one to disentangle because the laws are different in every single state. So the awards will be different. But right now, a judge said, you know what? I just need to take this shit into my chambers and look through it all because it's really complicated.
Yeah, because if you can't, that's medical mistakes are huge, whether they're in the hospitals or pharmacies or this or that. And I mean, I'm not saying that, once again, that there's such a thing as perfect, but this is a big enough screw up where, they're gonna have to.
And I'm not like,
and I'm not a sue everyone, but this was huge. I mean,
this is kind of a big deal.
They were specifically saying, I'm doing this and doing this and doing this, not do this. And I mean, if they forgot one or did this, that's fine. That's on them. But to have it completely screwed, that's and I mean, how and there's no way in hell that didn't go through like several checks and get missed. Yeah. I mean, there's supposed to be a crap ton of safeguards on stuff like that.
And the placebos, aren't they different colors than the regular pills?
Generally,
yeah.
I would think so. I think I've tried a placebo once.
Just
as
for
long
fun.
as I don't get, boobs or anything, I'm okay.
You don't want boobs?
I didn't.
No boobs. Well, I'm a choice person, but I'm fascinated that 94 out of 117 said, I'm going to have the kid, and went ahead and did it. I think that's a really interesting statistic. They're like, okay, I guess this was supposed to, whatever,
right.
However they based their decision on. But I thought that was an interesting number out of that story.
Wow.
Did you know that pretty much everybody has herpes?
Well, yeah.
There's a strain I heard that's in pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
2/3 of the entire world population has herpes.
Yeah,
how gross is that?
That sounds right. I
and
know.
what kills me about the stupid simplex 1 and simplex 2 is 1 can jump to 2. Or if you come in contact, if you don't have it, and you come in contact with somebody that has the easy version, you could get the shitty one.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you don't know how it's going to manifest on yourself. I mean, why people are so panicked about this is beyond me, because really almost everybody has it.
Right.
One way or another.
Well, the thing is, I get the cold sores every once in a while, especially when I'm extremely stressed out, about every 5 years, right? And there's a drug out there on the market, and it's $80 a pill. It's Valtrex, if you've never heard of it. And people that have the really bad kind have this on them all the time. And, I'm fine. $80 to not have 2 weeks of pure and adulterated hell on your face. I'm down with that, right? And it usually takes 2 or 3 of them to get it done. Well, this is the next drug that I think needs to be on the frickin' shelf. I called back in when my mom was nearing the end about a month ago. I started getting one, and I didn't want that on top of everything else. And I called, and my doctor had retired. Okay, I called him, and you got to catch this at the beginning. Otherwise, once it pops out, you're screwed, right? So I wait. I don't get a call back. Then I finally get a call back. And they're like, "Well, your doctor required, so you're going to have to come in here." Needless to say, I wasn't in the best frame of mind anyway. I had a little bit of a meltdown and told them what they could do with my records and their office visit and everything else because I already had this thing on my lip. Thank you very much. Oh, no. And go fuck yourself. But they need to put that stuff on the shelf, don't you think?
Yeah. It is. There's when I've looked at everything that's involved and all the studies that come across this, there's no side effect to this that is any different than Advil right now.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, why that particular item is, you just can't go to, Walgreens and pick it up.
Yeah. So I didn't introduce Amanda here or welcome her into the conversation because I wasn't sure if she wanted to talk to us about IUDs, but I'm thinking hookers you might want to jump in on. Hello, Amanda.
Well, hello.
Tell us why you're here.
My fiance and I, we are doing a podcast where we interview local unsigned bands called Double D's Local and Proud. So I wanted to come in and see how I was told you guys were one of the best at what you did. So
we own our subject matter.
So I'm here to just kind of learn from you guys, and
we have products that's called Double D's.
That comes up a lot on our show. Well, we're going to get into some of the fun stuff, so you're welcome to chime in and join us. This one, absolutely, the Nevada primaries just occurred, and I was laughing. I knew this because of a visit to Hoover Dam millions of years ago. But, people that live in Nevada are very passionate that everybody pronounce their state correctly. And it is Nevada, not Nevada. And they have been like eating news anchors that were covering the elections for lunch. It's like, it's Nevada. I'm like, okay. Mind you, she's in pasties and she's pissed about, she's like, I'm voting for Bernie Sanders. And it's Nevada, asshole. That was like just absolutely so funny to see. But hookers for Hillary. Did you hear about those guys?
No, I did not. Did one of the ranches?
All of them.
They
had they had a coalition. They organized and they caucused, I think, on this. They, about 490 workers at some of the legal brothels, Moonlight Bunny Ranch, very famous one, Kit Kat Guest Ranch. That should be my porn name, Kit Kat Guest, don't you think? Then the Love Ranch, Las Vegas, and the Alien Cat House, which is, by the way, I did not know, a space-themed brothel near Area 51. Wow. So you can get your freak on in a couple of different ways at that one, it sounds like. Anyway, they're backing Hillary because they think that she's the presidential candidate most likely to protect Obamacare. And the quote, which I thought was pretty interesting, 25-year-old sex worker May, said Obamacare allows us to get health care without classifying us as illegal workers. And not having their stuff canceled is a big deal. And so, they were offering special bonuses to people willing to caucus for Hillary. I know, right? It's like
I'm still back on the alien themed.
I know. Knock yourself out.
I'm just imagining
a little moon romp.
Yeah. I'm like, how?
Oh, that'd be really cool.
It's like the whole room,
space
like
rocks,
water bed, and then they drop padded walls. Sorry,
little green men.
Freaky.
Oh, sorry.
I know. Did you have a moment?
Yeah. I'm just visualizing the. Just because I used to watch the Bunny Ranch thing on HBO years ago when I had cable, stuff like that. It was so.
It's like a train wreck you can't stop looking at.
No, it was fun.
Yeah. No, I'm fascinated. I think that, I'm a legalized prostitution kind of person. So, I don't care. If it serves your crank and you want to do it, go ahead.
That's right. Especially if you're getting healthcare.
There is a TV show in Britain that I'm going to have to figure out from Netflix, Tattoo Fixers. This is the second really good, juicy story that I've gotten as a result of a recent episode. Okay. So has anybody and guys do this, okay? Guys pull this shit. You go out, you all get completely trashed, and then somebody gets written on with Sharpies, right? Permanent markers. Have you ever been victimized or
No.
perpetrated this on someone else?
Maybe.
Once.
Maybe.
Twice? Okay.
I was too drunk.
See, I don't remember. It might not have been me. Well, and I've seen my nephews come home like this, right, with penises on their foreheads and crap like this. Well, a dude woke up, this guy named Greg, and he had a 10 by 2.5 inch veiny phallus on his inner thigh. And he thought it was a Sharpie, but it wasn't. It was actually a tattoo. And I saw a picture of this. This is not a good-looking penis. This is not a good drawing. There's no art involved here whatsoever. It's just hideous. And then he also complains, in addition to the humiliation of that, it dwarfs his own by far. So he goes on the show, and
so they don't have like rules about
little ethics here,
people
much
being that wasted and getting a tattoo.
I actually thought they did.
They did. I thought when I got my tattoo, they wouldn't let me drink.
Well, men is here, and it's going either. But we are talking Great Britain, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't know what the rules
Different
are.
rules, I'm sure.
But you would think, unless of course one of them was a tattoo artist, but
Well, you think you'd be an artist. You think you know your friend's talent.
Right. And it's like, it's ugly.
Can't even draw a dick.
Right. I mean, it's just not a good looking one. It's just not.
Aww.
But they changed it into this one guy named Sketch. They changed it into an Asian guardian lion. So, okay, good luck. That's better than what I saw in the before picture.
Oh, I could see oh, damn it. Oh, my God, it's real. I mean,
well, he was trying to rub it off.
Yeah.
And it started, bleeding and acting how newly laid tattoos behave. Yeah, so I'm going to have to check out that show because, I mean, remember the guy that had the vacuum? Were you on that show, Mike? Colleen, you do.
Oh, no,
it was.
I saw the
story.
and
the plug. So the front was a vacuum with a penis as his hose, right?
Yeah.
And then the plug went around into his butt. I mean, and then he had it done when he was like 16, this kid, and now he's like 22 and trying to get laid. And they get down to that point, and they're like, "Yeah, no."
So he did it intentionally.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez.
Dumbass.
I was 30, 35, 30, whatever. I'm generally, think that once you're 18, if you should vote, you should be able to have a drink. You should be able to buy a cigarette if you're stupid enough to get one.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with the idea that if someone, I would prefer that someone sit in their house and smoke a joint versus, drive to a bar and get, these things. But tattoos are the one thing I really think you got to be like at least 25.
I do too.
I don't know. I mean, because like a piercing you can take out, but I sound like just an old fart when I say that. But there's something about tattoos, and I have them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, going through there, and I know some, but I know very few people that have not either regretted or have worked over something they did when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, because I think it takes a little bit of time to figure out a tattoo should mean something other than the fact that I think it's cool to get a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's my art, it's my body, it's saying something to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that when you're 16, you don't know what the fuck you're saying.
No, I can attest to that. But I've often wondered what this girl.
There are some that are intelligent,
not too many.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering what Tweety Bird's going to mean to this girl who I knew got it when she was in her early 20s. When she's 40, now that her kid is like 10. It's like, really, Tweety Bird? Come on.
Yeah, I actually got a tattoo when I think it was like 18 or 19, and it was a lizard, and it's not bad, but it's just not cool. And I got it because of the Budweiser lizards back then.
Oh God, those were great commercials.
Yep,
those were great. See,
So,
and how do you feel now?
I'd like to make it look a little nicer.
Okay.
It's not that bad. It's better than, I think at that time everyone was getting the butterfly tattoos. It's on my lower back, and that's where they were getting those. And
well, here's the deal. I've got one on my lower back too, but about 2 years after I got mine is when pant waist went down. I had no idea when I got mine that it was going to be for public consumption. That was the weird part. I thought it was a hidden spot.
Mm-hmm. Not anymore.
Not
No.
anymore.
No.
Which totally cracks me up.
It's cool.
And
It's a cool tattoo, though.
I don't mind that books.
Books.
Smart ass books. Yeah. Here we go. But it just, I'm like, I did not know it was going to be public. I just didn't. You know?
Although once you get them, you just can't stop. I have 2 more now, so.
Yeah, I've got a second one, and then, actually that was my second one. The first one was on my boob, which totally cracks me up that the first one I get is there. But I want a third one, and I've got an idea in my head, but it's never quite coalesced. You know what I mean? It you know, and when I get there, I don't care if I'm 75. If I figure it out when I'm 75, I'll go get the third one. I don't have a problem with it.
That's what I like about you. That's one of the things. You know, my brother's son he'll be 19 here in about 2 months. He's got 22 tattoos already, and he started when he was way too young, and it is illegal in California where they're from to get them younger, but he did a workaround. But he also has a piercing on his upper cheek that can only be removed by surgery. They're going to have that dug out. And it's like, he's 19, you know, and he's going to be, I mean, he's covered already. And it's like, dude, you know, and my brother's pissed and he can't do anything about it aside from go back and try to sue that, you know, but how expensive would that be? Right.
No, I mean, just like I said, you know, I give people, you know, props for, you know, for wanting to, you know, be themselves, but I'm not sure what you know, but when do you know yourself?
Well, that, and what are you know, going to think when you are older? Because it's being around musicians all the time. You see these young adults that are all tattooed, all pierced, and then you wonder, like, I hope you really like that, because that's never going away.
Oh, I got to search for. I did see an article about folks that were in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, men and women that were showing off their ink. That was pretty awesome.
Was it good ink or was it tragic?
No, it was pretty. You know, it was older ink, and a lot of it had faded a little bit. But it was women and men that were really proud of it, and they were, you know, older. But when they talked about it, everything meant something. You know, there was there was a story here. This was about a child they had lost. This was about a particular. This is, you know, about their 50-year marriage. This was about a lot of the guys, since they were older, was about their military service.
Oh, sure.
And so that was pretty fascinating. And a lot of the women was about, especially since they were older, was about defying stereotypes. And so, I mean, but you know, most of them, like I said, I think we're a little bit older when I got them to begin with, and now it's 50 years later, and it was pretty cool.
That is cool.
So what do you do about the sagging? So if you put one on your boob and your boob ends up down by your waist,
it's part of who you are.
You get Fred, it ends up looking like Barney.
Wow. Yeah.
No, you have to work with it. I mean, you know, mine are 15 years old now, and the black work has spread out a little bit. I mean, it's going to. There's, you know, you know, that's why you have to realize, you know, it's gonna change.
Yeah, and it's gonna fade, and then you just go to another tat artist and have them shade it in and make it look all new and fresh again.
That's what I do with my eyeliner. That's tattooed
what I
on.
do with my tattoos. It's like, oh, this is red is not as red as I want it, so there you go and shave it in.
The eyeliner?
You know, it's not unbearable. It's more uncomfortable because they're flushing this stuff into your eyes, so that kind of burns. But no, it doesn't hurt as much as you would think that having people jab needles close to your eyeball would.
I asked that thinking that, you know, when people ask me, did your tattoo hurt? Well, yeah, it hurt. It's a needle piercing your skin.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah, no, the eyeliner tattoo thing is not my favorite thing, but the benefit of it, I love it. I mean, it's like I'm done in 5 minutes getting out of the house. So that's been kind of cool. We need to go over to China for a couple minutes here, guys. This is hilarious. And I sent all the stuff, or the picture of it. I don't know if I can do it justice here verbally, but I sent it over to Meg. This has got to go up on the GN Sexcast Facebook page. So there's a construction site in Chengdu, China. And they used a spent, shall we say, inflatable sex doll as a scarecrow, because there's a field of, it says rapeseed.
Yeah, that's, which is
is it a spice?
Canola.
Canola?
We call it canola oil because, you know, the term
rapeseed
is a little
it's a little unpalatable here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
so it's a rapeseed farm. And so he put up this sex doll that he was done with, and she's a little ratty-tatty, but there's a construction site nearby, and they came by and they put a hard hat on her or whatever. I guess it's doing a wonderful job at keeping the birds out of the field, which is quite an irresistible thing for these. But on the same page of the story, and again, I hope that Meg can put this up on the GN Sexcast Facebook page. But they do a quick day in the life in a sex doll factory in China. and it was in I had Zhejiang, and I phonetically spelled it because, my God, you should have seen all the X's in that thing. But they follow this guy through. They make 30 different types in this one particular thing, and they talked about 73% of all sex toys are made in China. And I wanted to know if you guys agreed with that stat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
73%.
Majority of it, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of pretty much anything with a motor is made there.
Okay.
There are quite a number of Doc Johnson, Tantus, a few other companies that do their non motorized dildos and items here in the U.S., but a lot of it's made there.
Yeah, and it talks about it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and how scores of working-class Chinese support their families. Like it's like a big deal. So it's kind of a cool video too, and it's kind of hilarious. I mean,
there's a lot of hand painting, and you've got to go through there.
Paint the veins on. We've seen videos actually of them in China painting the veins on dildos and shit, and make some big bucks too.
Yeah, no, I mean it was fascinating. I thought that was pretty cool. We'll put that up there. Tim Allen, Home Improvement, and what's his new Last Man Standing or something? Last something.
Yeah, Last Man Standing. I think.
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, something like that. He was on with the made infamous by Donald Trump, Megyn Kelly, I guess, on a Fox interview, asking who his character on his current hit show would support for president. And they had this big long thing, and it's the headline was Megyn Kelly congratulates Tim Allen for coming out ... as a conservative, on there. But I thought that was kind of a funny sort of headline, and they're still beating the drum about, well, you're a conservative in Hollywood. Let's make a big... And it's like, really? And I
business people, they're allowed to
do whatever they want.
I do find it fascinating, but I suppose that it is so rare that it does make the news.
Yeah,
it's going through there.
I interviewed Dennis Miller a few years ago, and God, is he fun to talk to. That guy is just, and stuff. But I asked him about his political leanings, because he is too. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I don't care what they think. Because I said, what's that like, being in Hollywood? Like, are you a pariah? And he's like, I don't care. He goes, I don't give a crap. He goes, it's not like we hang out. He goes, they see us on the, the red carpet together and all this other kind of stuff. But really, we don't sit down and have these conversations. Whatever, which is kind of what you would expect from him. I thought that was kind of funny. I think, Salma Hayek, hot, right? She's filming a movie and had to go to the emergency room, little head injury action. And the picture of her in the ER docs, again, Megan will put up on the page. She's wearing a T-shirt of a naked body. A
silhouette.
Well, no, it's like the T-shirt is like bare boobs with pants, and but it's a T-shirt. It's like on the front, and they had to take her straight in her costume, and it's like she's like, yeah, they got over it, and she's like, kind of inappropriate, but thank you so much for your help. It's hysterical, and she's so pretty, and these doctors are like, woo, they are so happy to be like clamping on the Hayek. I mean, it's just the cutest, but we got to put that up.
That would have been that would have been selfie land in the ER. I'm sure that.
Can you imagine her walking in with something like that on? And she made fun of her own self, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the world would you have someone wearing a naked? Like, it's like those beach wears where you have like the body,
but it's a bikini.
It's a bikini.
Only this is kind of naked. Yeah, or half naked. Yeah, and I'm like, I want to know what that movie's about.
That's got
right.
Yeah.
And that she's unclear. Probably the smartest Girl Scout I've ever heard of in my entire life. She set up her Girl Scout cookie stand outside of a pot dispensary. Yes.
That is pretty smart.
I have seen that. That is a woman who knows her market.
Yeah.
I feel like that was an episode on Friends.
It could have been.
Yeah, they're going through there, but it has become. Not only have they been doing that, I'm surprised, but they've also had they finally have their online sales. That are legal this year. So you've got all the ways to get your cookies that you would want. But I'm sure they're doing just fine. So you can get your edible pot, and then you can have your little snack for later.
There you go.
Hey, the pot store was all about it. The Girl Scout organization said, yes, she did in fact surpass her goal of 35 boxes, but we don't condone it, but it's not against the rules.
Until next year. Just takes one.
They'll just be one store over. So
right.
Yeah. Whatever. They'll be in front of the dry cleaners that's next to the dispensary.
Right.
So come on.
I love Girl Scout cookies.
I love them too.
Take a poll. Favorite?
Actually, I don't love Girl Scout cookies.
Do-si-dos.
Do-si-dos. Amanda, do you
I
like?
actually just got the thank you cookies. Those are pretty good.
Oh, are those good?
I used to like the ones they changed like their little shortbread or their butter cookie recipe years ago, and I just and and the Thin Mints, maybe if you crush them up and use them in a pie crust, but I don't
Put them in the freezer.
There's a
that's
they're
what Dave
so
does.
good in the freezer.
They're just once again, I'm being just an old fart, but they taste different.
I think they do taste a little more waxy.
Yeah.
I don't like that waxy out. I'm a do-si-do guy. I love peanut butter.
Yeah, what are the ones the ones that have like the coconut and the caramel? I can eat like 2 of those, and then it's like a total sugar bomb.
Now it's gonna kill me.
And
I'm gonna have to Google this.
Yeah.
I can see them and I can't think.
Samosas.
Samoas. And I don't like coconut. But my husband's excited because he's gluten-free, and now they're coming out with a lot more gluten-free options.
They do have one gluten-free.
Yes. So my mom actually picks them up, and my sister's allergic to dairy, so she can't have them. So my husband gets inherited all these gluten-free cookies from... Now I still got to locate my do-si-dos.
So now the place cards at Thanksgiving are done by food group.
Yes,
Okay, gluten-free over here. We got your veggies down there. We got the dairy.
And you're really screwed if you're gluten-free and lactose.
Oh, you're fucked.
Yes.
Have a carrot.
That means I can't eat well at holidays anymore.
Right.
It's like, damn it.
Oh my God, that's funny. So we had this story one other thing before we get into the story.
Okay.
The talk. There's another, and I sent the link to Megan. This is kind of an interesting story. It's just brief. Remember how we talked, Colleen, you found this a couple weeks ago about how the University of Minnesota did an on-campus survey about how people are STDs are on the rise and condom use was down, and they're really alarmed by the local numbers, although they ran afoul of what the national trends were doing. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I had a little moment.
Yeah.
Was that last week?
Yeah.
Or the week before, one of the two.
I listened to it. It was last
Use a
week.
damn condom.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of a big deal. Well, there's another story, a PhD out of one of the universities in North Carolina is studying the correlation between parents talking to their kids about STDs and protection, and the numbers of those groups that have been talked to that actually turn out getting STDs. And they said, however cringeworthy it may be, bringing it up does make an effect. Mm-hmm. It's like if it's killing you, and they're trying to research it further and more specifically. But do not miss the talk was the story today.
Yeah, no, I have several friends that are a hell of a lot more conservative than I, and not a single one of them was going to say, they did not want to be grandparents early. They didn't want to do anything early. They said, this is what we think would be better, but it's also your body. And mm-hmm. they've had condoms in the house, because they're just not, the not having, not talking, and then not having the condoms and not being, being realistic mm-hmm. is so much more.
That means dangerous. They have to figure it out themselves. It's good to have an open dialogue with your children and let them know this is its possibilities.
And then you can editorialize mm-hmm. and like to the boys and say, seriously, if you don't put a condom on it, your dick will turn green and fall off. I mean,
hopefully that's not the case. But
who
yes,
better
it
to
could.
tell? It could. It put the fear of Jesus in it.
Yes.
Just saying. No. Okay. So another story that last week was a busy week here. And we ran out of time, actually. But secrets of happy couples. And Colleen, I don't remember which one of us found this, but I thought there was some interesting statistics. It was a conversation about people long-term. And the first aspect of this article talked about 83% of people that become couples are satisfied with their sex lives within the first 6 months. But then half a year later, that crashes into half. So the article goes on to find out, okay, what can be done because the proof is their premise is that it happens to everybody. So how do you fight it? Okay. So, they were saying that people who are happier with their sex lives are actually having more sex and once a week. That seemed to be right. The sweet spot once a week. Mm-hmm. You get into the twice a week. One partner was feeling pressured. And the other one was like, you know what I mean? They lost, it kind of went down after that. So that once a week seemed to be overall. This one blew my mind. For men, satisfaction means mood, setting, and variety and communication. Okay. We'll get to the women in a minute. Mood, setting, and communication. The guys actually said that.
Wow, that's exciting.
Well, did they think that they wanted to hear that, or or is it the fact that we've been brainwashed to think that they don't think that's important? I think it's it's. I don't think there's too many things that are actually all that different. when you get down to it, between what makes someone feel happy or loved during physical intimacy, but we've been told that women are one way, we've been told that men are one way.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone acts outside these norms, oh my God, something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
They were supposed to shame women if they like sex, and we're supposed to shame men if they show any emotion. That's
I'm just surprised about the setting part, because most guys, straight guys, they can just flip it out in the public restroom and do it, But I'm thinking, are we talking about?
There's a lot of popular restrooms in the gay community.
There are, and that's what I'm saying.
Was
and that's what I'm saying.
Spot.
Gay men are no different.
Okay.
You need to define setting.
Right.
Exactly.
Are we talking candles, warm, bath? What?
Unfortunately, they didn't tell
They
us.
didn't. So I'm not.
There's always more questions to this stuff than there are to me than there are
so many
answers.
questions.
I always have so many
Seriously.
questions.
That's why she's fun. Well, listen to what women said, though.
Okay.
Satisfaction to them means, number one, orgasms. Guys didn't put it on the list for
They're
theirs.
going to have it
and that was
regardless. You can't fake it for a guy.
Well, I'm going to guess.
true.
I'm
I didn't think of
assuming it's probably an assumption. Also with the
Okay.
assumption that for the most part, in a lot of relationships, once the guy comes, they're usually done.
Want to roll over and take a nap.
And so every now, it just that's the end of the sex.
Yeah.
Regardless if she's done or not. Because do they ask her, is the communication open? Well, did you get satisfied? And if they're like, no, well,
Or
catch me in
even
20 minutes.
Or even if they did, why does him finishing have to be the finish? This is the assumption that that's the end. What happens if that happens at the beginning and then you continue just sort of noodling around doing other stuff?
I would like to modify a common saying and say it shouldn't be over until the lady sings.
You would think.
Fat or otherwise. But yeah, I just thought it was really hilarious that orgasm, but that's probably a really good reason why. Okay, so with regard to communication, because women did cite that as well as mood setting, like what the guys did. So when asked further about what they mean by communication, here's what we came up with. There were 6 elements. Praising their partner for something that they did in bed. They are asked by their partner for something that they want. So when I read the whole thing, the guys were saying they liked being asked for something, which I thought was really interesting.
In other words, they don't want to have to pretend to read minds.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, once again another stereotype where it's like you got to say something.
And by extension, also being able to ask for something that they want. Talk on the phone or email with their partner during the day to tease about something they want.
A little
they
foreplay.
Like that. Little flirtation there.
I think folks like to know that they're being thought of.
Oh, I love it. I love getting those little kissy email or text messages throughout the day.
Those are cool.
I get those a lot.
Those are nice. Good for you.
I know, I do. I get them.
And both having the courage to ask and then respond for feedback on how something felt.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
Seriously, because you're not going to know what your partner wants unless they verbally tell you, all right, stay a little longer there. That's the spot. Yeah. Just for an example.
Oh, God.
We're not remind readers. I went to the other side because I don't know the route through you ladies. So I'm like, I can't figure it out anymore. So there's no map.
I was flipping through Showtime late night. The other night I couldn't sleep, and old episodes are rerunning the L Word series, which I thought was a really good series. One of the best scenes in that series was, did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Alice character, she's the only one of the cast that was actually gay, which was hilarious. It's in a sex scene with Sybil Shepherd, only you don't see Sybil, you just see her trying to teach Sybil Shepherd how to. One of the funniest damn scenes I have ever seen in my life. She played that scene. I like her as an actress. I think she's very funny, and I'm sad that I haven't seen her in anything else because I think she's kind of a hoot. But that scene of her circles. Okay, wait, no, bigger. No, wait, teeth. No, not teeth. Oh, wait, maybe teeth. I mean, she goes in this whole. I swear to God, it was so funny how they did. And I can't imagine how long that thing took, but it was pretty funny. And then you don't see Sybil for a while, but it was pretty funny. And saying I love you is one of the biggest things, and they want to hear it during the sexual encounter. And the people that didn't hear it, 44% of those were the dissatisfied women that didn't hear it, and 49% of men.
How about holding hands? Is holding hands in there?
It wasn't in this particular story, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're out and about and you see 2 things: one, anyone of any, it looks like they've been together a while, holding hands, or sitting on the same side in a booth.
Me and Eric do that.
Yeah,
That's cute.
Sometimes
I
I
do
can do
that
it because
too.
I don't like turning I do it sometimes, but I don't like turning sideways to speak.
Yeah.
That bothers me when it's going through there. But if you're couples, but you're just, we're just out, and it was like a couple of days before Valentine's Day, and I'm out with a guy, and it's like, oh look, they're holding hands over there, and oh look, there's that old couple over there. They're sitting on the same side, and we're just like, oh, that's what we, we're there, but we want to keep doing that. You just look at you see it. It's, I spot folks that are holding hands, and I just like, oh, no, look at that.
See, that's cute. Look at the
That
going
is
on
cute.
there. I know. I like it. You're making me smile. You guys, I was shocked to read the stat that in the weeks between Christmas and Valentine's Day, online dating sites see a 30 to 60% increase in new users.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, because everybody dumps each other before Valentine's.
Really?
Yeah, that's the biggest breakup.
Or you want someone for Valentine's, or you decided, you know what, I got through Christmas. And now, because let's say you want to, like, if you're leaving someone, you're like, oh God, I don't want to do this before the holidays. You do it afterwards,
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's a huge. I mean, the amount of people who said, I'm just going to get through the holidays for the kids, and then we're going to tell everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I mean, if you show up, if you're just dating someone at Christmas, and you don't have your significant other with you, the more questions you have. And as soon as it's over, and then as soon as Christmas gone, because you just don't want to put it, because nobody wants to be staring at each other at New Year's Eve with someone that you're not happy with.
Right.
But a lot of things too is maybe they made it through the holidays alone, and they're
They
ready to get started now.
Yep.
It's like,
before Valentine's, it's like I gotta have that partner so I can do something for Valentine's.
Well, I saw this this story with what an interesting title. Dr. Helen Fisher, she's the chief scientific officer for Match.com. And I'm sure she's some sort of a psychiatrist or psychologist of some sort, but she was talking about what you guys just said, basically, the why of this. But she talked about how one of the reasons, the biggest problems that people have trying to do this is that they're not really meeting. They're trying to make a real assessment about a person through just all the messaging, and that there's way too much communication before you meet and evaluate that person in person. Do you guys, would you agree with that, especially among the younger folks? You've never done it?
It's been ages since I've been.
I have to admit, it is a world that is beyond me.
I did it for 1 month, and I met Carl, and I've been on it. We've been together for 6.5 years, so I don't have a ton of experience, although that's where I got him.
So do you pay monthly, or do you have like a 6-month thing, so the next 5 months are like wasted?
Yeah, well, at the time, you could sign up for monthly, and it was so overwhelming for me that I did it for 30 days, and I literally met him on the last day. He was like on my list of these guys that had been communicating with me all month, and I really wasn't ready, and I'm like, I can't handle this. It's too much. And so I don't know how they break it out now, but you could be out every night if you want to. It's like, and then I can tell you all the pitfalls and things like that. There was one where I sat there going, did I wash my hair for this? Like, really? Like, type of thing. But I didn't go on full dates. I did all meet and greets. And then if I wanted to see him again, and I saw 2 guys a couple times, but that's it. And then I met him.
I still think that you need to, that part of the deal should be that you have to post your divorce papers on your, on your profile. You can't say you're separated. You can't say you're divorced. You need to.
It's complicated.
You need to post.
They give that as a choice.
You need to actually post the divorce papers. And
I think on Match you can't say you're separated. They won't accept you.
Okay.
I think I've heard that before, because Dave and I met online. It wasn't on Match, but I've had a couple of those dates, and they showed up, and I had one downtown, met up with me and all my friends. I saw him, and I went, I gotta go. And then I ran away, and he followed us, and it was a disaster.
Because he didn't look like you thought he would? Okay, yeah, I had a few of those. There's a broad spectrum of what athletic and fit is to people. Yeah, I noticed that. But she did say a couple things that I thought were good takeaways to end on today regarding profiles, because I can't even tell you how many of my friends' profiles I've helped write and or edit, so, and I thought these were really good ones. Any pictures you use, smile, give good details about yourself in the profile, which I agree of. Don't show pictures of you drinking booze, too much skin.
Wait a minute. I think pretty much, I have a friend who does a lot of stuff, and you will never find a picture of him with a drink. If anyone would take pictures, he's always, pardon me, if he has something in his hand, he puts it down and then gets in the picture. And I don't, and he's been, and this was long before the days of social media. Put your drink down.
Okay.
At all times, just put it down because you don't know the context later.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told my kid this. Okay, no red Solo cup ever in a picture.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yep.
Put the drink down.
For sure.
We do a lot of drink pictures on the Double D show, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You're dealing with
no idea.
musicians, right?
Yeah,
So-
but in general, if you're going through there, these pictures are going to be there for a long time. It's really easy to put the drink down and take a picture.
I will do that.
I'll just skip the picture.
Yeah, I'm busy.
I don't have enough time to put my drink down to take a picture.
I might lose it. Somebody will
Picture
grab
drink.
it.
Picture drink. I'll be over here.
Yeah.
Well, and the last one that Dr. Fisher said was when you do finally get to meet these people in person, don't dominate the conversation with exes.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's understandable. I wouldn't want to talk about my ex on a first date or anything like that.
well, that was the only way
Keep it
I
a
got away from
mystery.
a sexual predator on my one match date. We figured out that he was in the same business as my ex and that they had gone to school together. And this guy had not only been at my wedding, but he was recently out of jail for sexually assaulting one of his patients. And I almost didn't. I double dated that day. I had him for coffee at 1:00, and I literally was running across Loring Park in my 4-inch Jimmy Choos, aerating the lawn, trying to get away from him. I'm like, "You're a sexual predator! Oh my god!" And they go home, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I can't go to this last date, which is my boyfriend of 6.5 years. And I finally changed into grubby clothes and grabbed my departed 175-pound Great Dane and took him on the date. I was packing protection, and so that was fun. But
And you didn't choose him. I don't understand.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, I ended up with a guy with a dog that I took the dog to meet. So
That's
that was
exciting.
yeah, it was kind of cool, and so
It's just surprising you got matched up with the other guy. Don't they really check you guys' match you together for certain things?
it's not like eHarmony. I mean, you
okay.
kind of can go through and you kind of just view profiles and stuff, and we probably had enough. Well, I mean, think
Nothing
about this.
common.
Well,
Yeah.
he did the same thing that my ex did. I mean, so that kind of makes sense, right? The same things that they're similar.
So on this questionnaire, it doesn't ask, did you just get released from jail? Did you,
See, that's the thing. You know what? I figured out later when I finally got over the shock and dismay of the whole thing. He was on parole. He wasn't supposed to be online at all.
Really?
Yeah. So that was a big no-no, but I completely deleted my profile and just said, that's it. But look, you know what? I'm not dissing it. A lot of people meet that way. I'm not trying to scare people out of it, but anyway.
It's still scary, though.
I know. It really, and
You're just relying on what they're placing in there that is actually true,
I know. And I don't know, maybe now, that's 7 years down in the past now, but like right now, I think if I was ever going to do this again, which I pray to God I don't have to, I would have to look into some secondary checking for people, right? Even if you are careful in the beginning, because you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's just more information with everyone out there anyway. I mean, Googling a name, but of course, if someone has a very common name, who knows what the hell could come
And
up.
if the what happened was in that state too, because even if you Google, you're gonna have to Google each state to find out, okay, was this guy a pedophile or is he, some kind of? There's a lot of research you have to do. I would just probably still trust your instincts, but go out in group settings. Have a day date or lunch, coffee, but don't do it where you're gonna be alone with this person until you actually know who this person is.
No different than what used to be in the back pages of city pages or just roaming out to the general bar. You have a tad bit more information, but I mean, none of the old rules, went out the window.
Right.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We have to end it on a lighter note. Somebody say pony butt plug or something. I don't know.
Pony butt plug.
I don't want to talk about online predators as the last thing.
No.
Okay. Great Northern Sex Cast on Facebook is really the best way to follow all of the silly crap that we discuss and find anything that we need to know about fantasy gifts this coming week, guys.
We're just, we're still recovering from Valentine's. Last week was still, Valentine's is becoming more of a week-long thing
Yeah, it's
than
kind
an
of stretched
individual
on.
day. So we were just like, we just getting through, taking a look, getting ready. Actually, we're thinking ahead to June and Pride.
Oh God, that's so
Yes.
much fun.
And so I'm just waiting for the email from Pride Twin Cities Pride too, so I can sign up for that. We're hoping we've got a lot of vendors that are interested in working with us this year, so everyone's really excited about that.
Cool. That's so much fun.
So that's sort of how I know spring is on the way.
Mhm,
Is
I
do
love
get
that.
do I get my Pride email?
Aw.
Yeah.
and honestly, I'm sort of just thinking about baseball.
Well, you go ahead and keep on doing that.
Yes.
Good. Thank you for coming in today, everybody, and we'll be back at you same time next week.
Sounds good. Have a great week.
Bye.